All right, folks, this is Chris and Steven. Thanks for joining us. I want to know something. Do you create or do you conform? Because there's two types of people out there. There's people that create and there's people that conform to what somebody else tells them their life should look like. You know, I read this thing about a study where they took 100 20-year-olds and they asked them, are you going to be successful by the age of 65? And every single one of those 20-year-olds, now everyone, 100% of them said, yes, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to be a multimillionaire. I'm going to live a perfect life. Fast forward to age 65. Statistically, by the Social Security Administration, out of those 100 eager, optimistic 20-year-olds, 5 made it. 5 were financially successful. 5 were financially ready. 5 were successful. So what makes the difference between the 100 eager 20-year-olds and the only 5 that made it by 65 comes down to two things. The 5 or the 5% created the life they wanted. The other 95% conformed to what life gave them, to what people told them, to what false beliefs they were taught to be brought up by. Now let me ask that question again. Are you a creator or are you conforming? Because there's a big difference. And folks, the storm is coming and you better get ready, because if you're not ready, if your house isn't in order, if you don't see the storm coming, you're going to be conforming, whether you want to or not.
There is a nationwide scramble to get more doses of the
COVID-19 has battered the global economy, causing the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s.
Today, I'm signing an executive order that directs the whole of government
show you today is you can never be poor again if you change this one thing. So let's get into it, Stephen. Let's roll this and teach these people how they can create their perfect day.
Absolutely. Let's go. And yeah, I mean, you hear it all the time. You know, if you take a successful person and you were to take away all their money, or if they were to lose everything, 99% of them will tell you, I don't care, because I'll build it right back within a year or two, because it's all about the mindset. It's about what you know, and understanding that if you learn something different than what everybody else is out there doing, and you apply that and you take action on it, you will be successful no matter what. And those of you that have seen the money multiplier, our presentations in the past, you watch the backwards bicycle. We're going to talk a lot today about why people are successful versus people that are not so, why people are rich versus people that are poor. And our topic today, if you change this one thing, you'll never be poor again. You could be the richest person on this entire webinar right now, worth millions and millions of dollars. It doesn't matter, because if one thing happens, you can lose it all. And you got to have that mindset to be able to get yourself back. And so I'm really looking forward to today. So let me open this up, Chris, and share my screen here.
And while you're doing that, let me ask all of you, every successful person that I've met personally has failed. Some of them have failed multiple times. And when they failed, they didn't just throw their arms up and say, I give up. No, they learned from that failure. It was hard. It was tough. They were down in the trenches. They got kicked. They didn't want to get back up, but they all got back up. Let me ask you this. If you lost everything tomorrow, could you pick up and start over the next day? Would you be able to? How fast could you get back to where you are today if you lost it all tomorrow? That answer is going to be different for every one of you, but I will tell you it will be twice as fast or even faster the second time. Because when you fail, you should learn from those failures. You should remember how you got to where you were and why you failed. And then you should climb right back to where you were and exceed that level. It's kind of like the stock market. It works within patterns, right? It bounces between support and resistance, but eventually it breaks through. But then eventually it will hit the next level and bounce back down to where it was before. Life's kind of the same thing. We bounce around between levels, okay? Success levels, income levels, whatever level, relationship levels. We bounce around, but eventually we have a breakthrough moment. The goal is to get you to have more breakthroughs faster, smarter, and more efficiently. And the way to do that is to first change your mindset. So we can help you become wealthy. We can help you take back the money that you're giving away to everybody else. We can show you how to get all the money back for all the cars you're ever going to buy, drive, and own, and more and more and more. What we cannot do is change your mindset. We can't help you understand where you need to be. We can't tell you what your life should look like in the future. Only you know what you're working for today, and only you know the things that you know. We don't. But we got to get you to change your mindset to get you where you're going. Otherwise, you'll always remain right where you are. Same reason 95 of those 20-year-olds didn't make it to the success they wanted. They conformed. So that's where we're going to begin this today. Oh, this slide, Stephen. I love this
the
slide.
right slide, right? It's just the main one. You can see.
Yeah. This is a great one.
Good. Yeah. I mean, so, Chris, your story is amazing, and you might want to get into it just briefly here at the beginning. If anybody's new on here, doesn't know who you are, but I know for myself, I mean, I've kind of told my story in the past, and, I failed multiple times over the last 14, 15 years of, being an entrepreneur and getting into the world of real estate investing and taking back control of my money. And, like you said a second ago, you build, you'll hit a roadblock, you might fail and drop back down, but you take what you learn and you reapply that to the new. So you hit that level and then you level out, and you hit that level and you go up and you keep building and building. And that's what life is all about. And it doesn't matter where you're starting right now today. It doesn't matter if you're starting at zero or $100,000 in debt, or it doesn't matter if you're starting with $1 million in the bank and you just don't know how to take that to the next level. It doesn't matter where you're starting today. What we teach, these strategies, these mindsets, this is stuff that applies to every single person that's on here right now. And Chris, one of the things when I first met you, I saw this quote and I was like, man, it hit home to me so much. It's never about your actual resources. It's about how resourceful you can be. And that's just so, so true. And, your story is so, so powerful. I don't know if you want to start with that real quick, but I love it.
Sure. Let me do the very abbreviated. I just want to point out one thing. I just asked everybody if any of you have ever felt fear or maybe allowed fear to stop you from doing something. And I'm seeing it. A lot of people are saying which means we've all been there where fear has stopped us or fear has presented that feeling inside that kept us from doing something. So when I was a kid, I grew up in a lower middle class family. My mom raised me. It was really hard on her. And then I'll never forget, my mom did teach me one of the most important things a child could ever learn, and that was to dream. She didn't have the resources to give me the mini bike, the skateboard, the snowboard, and all the things that I might have wanted, but she gave me the ability to want something and dream about it. So a lot of the things that happened when I was a child were not just when I wanted something, I got it. When I wanted something, I would see in a magazine. Let's just talk snowboarding, okay? I'd look at Snowboarder magazine, or I'd watch VHS tapes of my favorite snowboarders doing tricks, and I would visualize them. Then I would draw them in school. I'd take out my notebook and I would start drawing those pictures of, Terrier or somebody else doing a trick, and I would draw it all out. And I would do this over and over and keep watching it and keep drawing it and keep thinking about it. And eventually, like, that person that I was drawing, that was me. It wasn't the person in the video. It wasn't the person in the magazine. I was drawing myself doing the trick. Well, what do you all think happened? That happened. Whatever I drew materialized. It came to be. Sometimes it took a year, 2 years, sometimes longer, but those things happened. My dream as a child was to be a pro snowboarder, and I did that. But a lot of things happened during that period. I started my first company at 16 in the basement. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I was working for a restaurant. They treated me so badly that I quit. In that moment, that day, 16-year-old kid, I stopped trading hours for dollars. Now, I'm not saying that's right for everybody, but I drew the line in the sand. I was never going to be treated that way again. I came home and I said, Mom, I want to start a clothing line called Fat Clothing Company, PHAT, in the basement. And she said, son, dream away. And I went down there and I drew pictures of shirts and I drew designs and I got my friends involved and I got my art teacher involved to print the first dozen t-shirts in high school after class. And then I sold them out of my backpack. And now was the entry into entrepreneurship. That's when things became real. And I was doing this, having a lot of fun. By 17, on my journey to be a pro snowboarder and sell my clothing, I got my next dream. I wanted my own shop. And what happened there is my mom, everybody told me no. Everybody tried at this point in my life, the first time ever, I'm 16 turning 17. I'm telling everybody about this grand idea, this awesome idea to open Fat Man board shops, this skateboard, snowboard shop. It was going to be revolutionary. It was going to be different than anything anyone's ever done. And everybody told me, kid, you're crazy. Kind of like the Christmas story. Kid, you'll shoot your eye out. My dad said, you'll never make it. Come work for me or work with me at the factory. He worked at Harrison Radiator. Wanted me to go in and interview for a job so I could be just like dad, just follow along in the steps, put 30 years in, get the pension, and live happily ever after. How do you think that's working out for my dad? I wasn't carved from the same cloth. I wasn't meant to do the same things, and you weren't either. So let's get into snowboarding. I did become a pro snowboarder. I did get Fat Man board shops because my mother did something stupid. She put her house on the line. So the house I grew up in, 700 square foot, 2-bedroom house. My mom still lives there. Put it on the line so her crazy punk snowboard kid could chase his dream. That's a big risk. But sometimes dreams are so big, somebody else has to come in and believe in you. My mother was that unconditional one. Let me talk about fear. You know, I could go on with my story over and over, but you know, the one thing in life that stops most people from chasing their dreams, for materializing the things that they really want, for living the perfect day they really want. First, we talked creation versus conformity. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dreaming is creating. I'll never forget, as a pro snowboarder, I had, you know, gotten to that point. I remember I got invited to a huge contest up in New Hampshire. First big pro contest. And I got there early and I'm on the lift going up. It was foggy and I'm thinking about my run. I'm thinking about everything. I got a little jitter, but an exciting jitter, you know, that good kind of fear or that good feeling. And I get up halfway above the fog and the lift levels out, and right over to my left, I look and I see this ginormous jump, monster, bigger than any jump I'd ever seen, any jump I'd ever hit. And I'm staring at this thing and I'm thinking that can't be the jump, but I knew it was. Because all the people were around it. All the banners were up. That was the contest. That was the jump we were going to be hitting. The whole rest of that lift, I was engulfed with fear. I get to the top, all the snowboarders start showing up and we're walking around with our headphones on, you know, looking around being like, oh, yeah, hey man, what's up? Every one of us were scared out of our mind. Many of us probably were thinking, man, maybe I just ride my board down and like, they don't even know I showed up, but I'd already registered. So they know I showed up. But I could just duck out. Everything's going through your head, but snowboarders always played this little game. There always had to be one rider, one athlete that had to hit the jump first. Of course, somebody's got to be the guinea pig to test the thing out. And it always started with Rochambeau, and I was lost. So I lost this time, and I'll never forget. I'm standing there at the starting ramp, looking down this really steep in run to this monster jump, and I'm scared out of my mind, thinking to myself, I can't hit this. There's no way. Like, if I go too fast, and I overshoot the landing, I'm coming down from 40 feet up. I'm going to blow my back out. I'm going to blow my knees out. I'm done. But if I don't go fast enough, I'm going to hit the knuckle. I'm going to bounce. I'm going to blow my knees out. I'm not going to be able to compete. Like, all these things are going through your head. Then the starter walks over and says, okay, Chris, are you ready to go? At that point, you got to make some hard decisions. You could say, no, I just need a few more minutes. And some would. You could say absolutely nothing and just hyper focus and just give a thumbs up. Or you could say, yes, I'm ready when you are. Boom. I'm not going to say I said born ready, but I think I was so scared I didn't say anything. And he says, whenever you're ready, go. And I leaped. And the next few minutes or next few seconds are just building speed and you're off. You see, at that moment, when you take off in the air, everything changes. All the fear is gone. Instinct kicks in. You've practiced this hundreds of times. You've done it in your mind. You've visualized it. You've dreamed it. You were meant to be in this moment. And now everything you've worked for happens right there in the moment. And you do your trick and you land and you ride away. But when you ride away, now everything's totally different. See, now fear is totally gone. It doesn't even exist. Inside of you is this excitement, this feeling that you can't even describe. And that feeling says, get back to the top of the hill and do every trick you've ever wanted to do right now. That was snowboarding, folks. That's also being an entrepreneur. That's also fighting for your dreams. That's also changing your mindset to be the person that will leap at whatever it is you're trying to accomplish against the odds, against fear. That was my life. And I failed a lot of times, failed in '08, almost went bankrupt, had to ask my girlfriend who just moved in to pay the mortgage, utilities, to move friends into bedrooms in my house. Hard to do when you got this new girl you're trying to impress. She could have just left. Then I got back on my feet, 2009 to 14, bought apartment buildings, pennies on the dollar. 2014, made some mistakes, had to sell every one of those. Also had to sell the dream house that me and that girlfriend, who is now my fiance, Larissa, we had to sell our dream house. You can see I was a financial advisor this whole time from about 2003 on. I was making good money, but I failed in 2008. I failed again in 2014, but each time I got back up, it wasn't easy, especially the 14. In 2014, I was at the lowest point in my life. I wanted to quit, folks. I'd been kicked and punched too many times. I did not want to get up. I just wanted to, and everybody around you when you're at that low point, agree with me here. Everybody around you in that low life is keeping you down. Oh, it's okay. We all go through hard times. Just my my unconditional one is saying, Chris, just, it's okay. Just do your job. Stop chasing these big dreams. Stop taking these risks. Stop doing this. Just live a normal life. And you know what? That would be the right answer for my mother, because that was what she was content with. Some of us have a bigger fire inside of us, something more that we want to get, something more we want to do, something more we want to leave when we're done from this world, when we do our final graduation. Nobody knows what that fire is for you except for you. My fire was, I'm still working toward it. I'll never stop. My fire is to solve people's problems and give them control of their money back. Back then, my goal was to be a snowboarder. You see, every goal you hit in your life, every one of those big dreams you set for yourself, Fat Man board shops, being a pro snowboarder, becoming one of the best financial advisors at the firm I was at, all those milestone goals, every time you hit it, you got to go to the next thing, because that's called the arrival syndrome. If you get to your goal and you're just like, I arrived, where is there left to go? Down or right there? And maybe that's okay for you, but most people want to strive for the next thing. So set your goals. Everything I'm talking about with my story to get me right where I am today, all happened in trials, tribulations, failures that I wasn't willing to go down, because the only way to actually fail, I talk about failure, the only way to really fail is to quit. I just never quit. So the difference between me and the guy that quit, the guy that didn't make it, the guy that tried what I'm doing and didn't get there is one thing. They started to conform to other people's beliefs. I kept creating and I pushed through. And I want the same for every one of you. So it's never about your actual resources. It's about how resourceful you can be. And that's what we got to change today. Got to change your mind around that. So Stephen, take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mindset's so important. I mean, I have, you could go out there and go to a library. If you don't have your mind right, there's so many good books out there. And we talk a lot about mindset because we love the motivation and we understand it's so important. I mean, let me ask, how many of you know you could do more, you could have more, and you could be more if you just had the right mindset, the right knowledge, the right plan of action to go out there and do it? I mean, how many of you know you could be more if you had that in place? Put in the comments, right eye. I mean, hopefully every single one of you on here knows that, and that's why you're here. And there's so many good books out there that are written about this stuff. I mean, classics like Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon, The Secret. I mean, how many of you read The Secret? This is one by one of Brendan Burchard's, one of our Chris's mentors, clients, the Motivation Manifesto. This is one of his originals I got years and years ago when he was just starting out. Eat That Frog. Has anybody read that? I mean, how many people let procrastination drag them down? I mean, I saw somebody in the comments earlier. Yeah, I thought about doing IBC. I've kind of been pushing it off. Now I need to buy a truck and I don't have my policy in place. So I'm scrambling to get it there so I can use the infinite banking concept to buy the truck. And it's just procrastination, pushing it off. So there's so many good books out there. So get these books and learn those. But what we're here to do is we're here to take your positive mindset, keep the motivation going, but then teach you actionable steps you can do right now today to make an immediate change in your life, and then a plan to make you make those changes into the future for you and your family. So with that being said, Chris, go ahead.
No, we were on this book thing, and every time we do these trainings, people love good books, and the ones you mentioned are phenomenal. But there's one other one I'd be so mad at myself if I didn't tell you. So all of you, real quick, grab a pen and a piece of paper, and I want you to write this book down. It's a very short read, and every one of you need to read it. It'll take you an hour and a half at best. Who moved my cheese? And I know some of you have read this book, but who moved my cheese? I'll put it in the comment there. Every one of you should read that book. And then let me know next Wednesday.
I got my whole bookshelf back here. I just grabbed these real quick. I'm not going to take the time to find it, but absolutely, that's a great book too.
Very cool. Awesome. So let's get into this. Let's show some people like the money mindset. Let's teach them some things they can do, that one thing that they can change. And if they change that, they'll never be poor again. And you know, Warren Buffett says it best, and I might get this wrong, but Warren Buffett says, if the poor would just do what the rich do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. Now, that's Warren Buffett's words. And I think in today's world, most people would probably find a way to hate Warren for the way he said that, but it is true. If we just mimic the patterns, the habits, the mindsets, and the things that the wealthy do, the things that the banks do, it would almost be impossible for us to be poor again. And all we'd have to do is just change the one thing. The one thing they all changed a long time ago. That's what we got to change. And we're going to get to that today. So stick with us. We got to break down the false beliefs and the mindset, and then we're going to open up the one thing that you all need to know.
Right. So the way that we've created Money School, Money Multiplier, and how all this comes together is what we call the 3 pillars of education. So I want to briefly hit on those, Chris, because this is going to be your foundation that your growth and the future is going to be built upon. Okay. So we rely on 3 main pillars to build everything else upon. So number 1 is real estate. And you know, we could go on for days about the power of real estate investing, the power of owning real estate within your portfolio. And again, I don't want to just, you know, a lot of times when you say the word real estate, people immediately think, well, I don't want to go out there and do flips and deal with contractors, or I don't want to go out there and buy rental properties where I'm dealing with tenants, termites, and toilets and getting calls at midnight. There's so many aspects of real estate, whether it's commercial, whether it's multifamily, whether it's affordable housing, whether it is building a rental portfolio and having other people manage it, whether it's private lending, whether it's private funds. There's so many aspects of real estate. But let me say this one thing. Out of all of the millionaires and billionaires in this country, what percentage of the millionaires and billionaires in this country own real estate? What do you guys think?
Yeah, let's see what they say.
Yes, absolutely. All of them, 100%. You cannot find me one millionaire or billionaire in this country that does not own real estate. Trust me, Warren Buffett owns real estate. They all own real estate, and there's a reason for that. And it's because it's the foundation that everything's going to be built upon. And we'll get into this in other trainings. I just want to lay out what the pillars are and what we're going to build upon. Does that make sense, Chris?
Yes, absolutely.
So once we get that, once we understand the power of real estate, and again, real estate could be the way for those of you that are on here right now, starting from zero. Devin Burr, I see, is in the comments right now. Devin Burr is going to be joining us with the following Wealth Webinar Wednesdays that we have planned coming up. And he's going to show you how he used real estate to go from bankrupt to becoming his own banker and now a multi-millionaire, all within a short period of time using real estate. So I've seen real estate turn so many people that are in dramatic debt or just dead broke with absolutely nothing. By going in and following simple real estate techniques like wholesaling, they've been able to turn their lives around and create incredible businesses and wealth for themselves. So that's one use. If you have a lot of money and maybe you're approaching retirement right now and you're just looking like, hey, the stock market's at all-time highs, I want to be fearful when others are being greedy and buying into the stock market. I want to start getting out of it, like people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are doing right now. And Ray Dalio and all these people are getting out right now. I want to be like that. Well, what are they doing with their money? Well, how about we talk about doing private lending, investing in private funds that are backed by real estate, by smart real estate. So there's, no matter what side of the spectrum, wealth spectrum you're on right now today, there's strategies to use real estate and either create a predictable, steady income for the rest of your life or create massive wealth generation for you quicker than anything else I've ever seen possible ever in history that I've ever seen. Chris, is there anything else you want to add to that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and somebody made a nice comment about, you know, how Warren and Buffett says real estate is not a good investment because it's always priced right. And he's absolutely correct. Buffett does not invest in real estate directly, but let me go back to the money piece. You know, a lot of people, when they're thinking about money, they got it all backwards. It's so simple. If you want to invest and you want to make money, which is why you invest, let's not make any two ways about it. You don't invest money to not make money. So here's all you need to do. You need to do what, and this is Buffett, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. But if you do 1 and 2, you don't even need 3 because it's an automatic. How cool is that? All you need to do to make money is you buy low and you sell high. Simple. We could end this training right there. But here's what happens. Look at what's going on outside right now. The news right now. What are people doing? Is everybody selling right now? Outside of Warren Buffett, who publicly is selling millions and millions of shares, Bill Gates selling probably billions of dollars, Zuckerberg from Facebook selling billions of dollars of his portfolio, the Ray Dalios, they're all selling. Hedge funds are selling and buying real estate. So they're all selling, but what's everybody else doing, folks? Buying into the euphoria, buying into the FOMO, the fear of missing out. Bitcoin, oh my God, it's going to go to the moon. Oh, this stock's going to go to the moon. Oh my God, look at these meme stocks. AMC, it's going to go to the moon. GameStop going to go to the moon. And what do? They buy into it. When they're buying into it, what are they buying? High and high and higher and higher. And then what happens when you buy high? Because you follow the euphoria, you conform and just follow the leader. Follow all the sheeps right off the cliff, right? While the lion's sitting back yelling, these dumb sheep, I should have eaten them all. But he can't eat them all. So he just sits there and watches the sheep run off the cliff because one follows the other, follows the other. The lion sits back and thinks, this is crazy. All those sheep needed to do was just follow the rules, and they didn't. They bought high. And then when the market drops, what do? They sell low. And what's the automatic that happens every time you buy high and sell low? You lose money. Folks, it is that simple. But unfortunately, the mindset, the euphoria, the FOMO, and everything else stops most people from doing that. That's what we're seeing, folks. You want to make a lot of money? Find the asset classes that are going down right now. Oh, Chris, everything's going up. Wrong. U.S. Treasury bonds are going down. When the stock market and everything's going up, what are treasuries doing? Going down, because who wants a boring 25 or 30-year treasury bond or 20 or 30-year treasury bond when I can buy AMC and make 600%? You're kidding yourself, but why buy this treasury and make 2%? Well, that's what you should be buying, because one is going down, the rest are going up. Sell the ones that are high, buy the treasuries, because what will happen when everything goes down to the asset that goes down when everything's going up? Follow that? Like, just draw an X, right? If we drew an X and all we did is one is going up, the other one's going down. Right now, the markets are going up, U.S. Treasury bonds are going down, primarily because of interest rates. If interest rates go up, bonds go down. Now, when the stock market goes the other direction, same X. Okay, but now on the down slope is the stock market. On the up slope is the treasury bonds. These go up when interest rates go down. If interest rates right now are following the markets up, when the market goes down, the Fed will pull interest rates and your treasury bonds will go up. So simple. So simple. You don't even have to buy US, find an ETF that buys US Treasury bonds. You don't have to go out and buy the direct Treasury bonds. And for those of you thinking you need to hold it for 20 or 30 years, like I won't even be alive. Nonsense. It's the most liquid investment you can ever buy. I'm not making a suggestion or a recommendation, but I want you to understand what I just said. The asset that probably will provide the most capital preservation and one of the biggest returns in the near future is the one that nobody wants to buy because it's boring, because it only pays 2%, because they want to make the big returns and follow the sheep and do everything everybody else is doing. And those are going to be the ones that don't make it. The ones that are smart and do the opposite of what everybody else is doing, or almost everybody else, are probably the ones that will be the next multimillionaires and billionaires, because they didn't go with the grain. They went against it, and they used logic, and they just followed the rules.
Yeah, and I threw the money and opportunity because we're diving into it a little bit there, what you're saying, Chris. Let me ask this. Does anybody think that in the next 2 to 3 years, there might be some opportunities in the real estate market? Does anybody feel like we might be in a somewhat of a bubble right now in real estate, that at some point these prices are not going to be able to hold and they're going to come down? And when prices come down, what does that create? It creates opportunities. In 2008, when the housing market crashed, the people that were smart and recognized that that was happening and they were prepared for it, they were educated for it, and they had their money ready for it, what did they do? They went in, they were buying homes for 10 cents on the dollar. What have those homes done every single year since 2008? We're now in 2021. They've been going up in value. Over that time, the homes that they bought have not only paid them positive cash flow on a monthly basis, but they've increased in value, increased in their portfolios. What are smart people in real estate that own real estate portfolios, rental portfolios doing right now? Let me ask you this, Chris, what are you doing with your rental portfolio right now?
I'm selling almost all of it off. The market's high and I just follow simple rules. People say I'm crazy. And yeah, maybe I am, but maybe I'm not.
Right. And then what are you doing? You're preparing. You're getting your money ready for what?
Yeah, to never buy another house in New York again, but to buy as much as I can in Florida, Texas, and Salt Lake City. Did I answer that right?
Yeah, that's a little inside joke, but absolutely. We're getting ready because when there's blood on the streets, that's when millionaires and billionaires are created. And let me just say one thing on that. When we talk about real estate, we talk about taking advantage of opportunities, taking advantage of markets. We are not talking about taking advantage of people. Be very, very clear. We're not talking about taking advantage of people, okay? When there's problems, when there's foreclosures, when people can no longer afford their homes, when people are losing their jobs, when things happen, people are vulnerable and they're hurting. We're not going to go in and make their situation worse. What we do as an educated investor and business person is we go in and we solve problems. So if we can find somebody and we can go in and we can find a way to make $100,000 on a deal that we go in and we negotiate with that homeowner and the bank together, and we're able to give that homeowner money so they can move on from that bad situation and put their family in a better situation, and we profit and they have a win out of it. It creates a win-win situation. What's wrong with that? And that's the right way to do real estate. Anybody that's in real estate and has been in it for over 10 years, I hope you know what I'm talking about, because this is not get rich quick. This is not get in and make a bunch of money and who cares who I F over along the way. That's not how we do business. And that's not how you should live life in general, period. So I just want to make that very, very clear. What we teach, what we do, this is all about win-win situations and helping other people. I promise you, if you can find a way to solve other people's problems and help other people in life, your life will become very, very valuable and you will be a very, very successful person. Does that make sense?
Makes a ton of sense. Somebody just commented in wondering if the impending inflation will keep the housing price from reducing after the bubble burst. That's a very important topic. As all of you know, the government's been printing a little bit of money, like 5.3 trillion so far, and we're going to hit about 9 trillion if they get all the things that they want. And will they get the things they want? Yeah, who's going to stop them? Nobody, from what I can see. So let's just say they print $5 trillion. When they print money, what happens to that money? Well, some of it makes it back into the economy. And it doesn't go into people's bank accounts. It inflates asset bubbles, okay? Because most of the money doesn't directly go to you, your neighbor, your coworker, your friends and family. Very small bits of it do. But it does go into the overall economy, to Wall Street, to the banking systems, and it makes bubbles. When there's all this new money floating around, it bubbles the different asset classes. Look at the stock market. I mean, come on, look at Dogecoin. I mean, come on, let's get real here. Dogecoin was a joke. The dog, like that thing that's on NASCARs now, that's worth more than Ford Motor Car. It started as a joke, and now it's worth whatever it's worth, and people are investing in it. What is the backbone of Dogecoin? Does it have any tangible assets? Nope. Does it have any substance? Nope. What does it have? Speculation. A bunch of people buying it, driving the price up because they I don't know, they believe in it. It's speculation. The same thing happened with GameStop and AMC. Those stocks are not worth nearly what they are priced at, but it doesn't matter. It's the FOMO, the euphoria driving all this crap up. So when you think about that, it puts things into perspective. When you look around at these asset bubbles that are going on, money's got to go somewhere, and people want the best return. They're trying to chase the biggest return because that's what's happening. So Dogecoin does make sense from the standpoint of speculation, of excitement, of FOMO, of euphoria. But what doesn't make sense? U.S. Treasuries, boring. What else doesn't make sense? Privatized banking makes all the sense in the world. But if you didn't know what it was, does it make sense? No, 4%, man, I'm making 50, 100% in Dogecoin. But you see, when one dies, everybody's going to clamor back to the other. Treasuries are going to be the best thing since the freaking toothpick when this thing falls apart in a few short years. But what I'm trying to get across is you got to know when the opportunities are going to present themselves. And then you got to do the hardest damn thing of your life. You got to wait. Oh, darn. You got to be patient. You got to just sit back and put the earplugs in or whatever you got to do and just ignore the temptations, the euphoria, the high that you get from investing in those high risk Dogecoins and everything else. You got to ignore them and you got to sit back and you got to plan the attack. Read The Art of War. Win the war before the war even starts. What's the war? You getting to your goal. You getting to your, whatever your goal is, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you're out there trying to make happen, that's your war. You got to win the war before it even starts. And the only way to do that is to have the plan of how you're going to do that. So how do you do that? How do you plan out something that doesn't exist today? It's difficult. It involves dreaming, something that most of us forgot how to do when we were, teenagers. We knew how to do it when we were kids. I have a 13-month-old. How many of you have children? Say I. Your children, if you're writing in I, know how to dream. They know how to dream unconditionally. There's not one thing in those children's minds that they can't accomplish. If they want to go to the moon, damn it. Well, in their mind, they're going to go. Okay. If they want to go to Mars, in their mind, they're going to take SpaceX to the moon or to Mars. Nothing in their mind tells them they can't do something because the world hasn't beat them down yet. The world hasn't conformed them to the belief of, I can't. I truly am from the mindset of, I don't think there's anything we can't do. Look at the things we've accomplished as a species, as human beings. Most of those things 5 short years ago or 10 short years ago, every person would have said that's physically impossible. That will never happen. That's not even something that you could even, that's so stupid of you to say that, but all of them happened. So what will happen in another 10 years? Anything you can dream if you don't give up on it. So that needs opportunities though. You got to see the opportunity coming. And let's say it's 2023. Let's just kind of call that the big storm when it hits. I think we're already in the storm, but let's just say that's when the snow starts coming out of the clouds, like here in Buffalo for a lake effect storm. That's that storm starting. Are you ready for it? Do you have salt in the garage? You got your shovels ready? You got your plow service or you got your plow hooked up? Are you ready? I'm not talking about a snowstorm, folks. I'm talking about the real storm that's coming. Maybe the next great recession, the next great depression, or maybe a mix of both. What does getting ready for that look like? First, it looks like you understanding where you want to go. You don't go to work every day because you want to, you don't go to work every day because you got bills to pay. That's just in your mind. That's your wrong mindset. You should go to work every day with the intent to solve a problem. Stephen, let me go on this solving a problem because it's huge. I want you guys all to listen closely to this. I want you to imagine that you just got a job and your job is to stand on a line at a garbage factory where they dump all the recycling goods on this big conveyor belt, and those goods go across your hands and your eyes before they go to recycling. Most people would be like, that's a crappy job. I got to sort through dirty diapers and throw up and dog poop. People put all sorts of stuff in those recycle bins. It's not always just cardboard and milk jugs. And you're standing there. Now, there's 2 different mindsets for this person that went to work. There's the gentleman or the folks that got up, went to this job, hating it every step of the way. They're there punching the clock, trading hours for dollars, just so that they can make enough money to go home, pay their bills, and then maybe buy a beer and a pack of smokes. There's that person that goes with that mindset, that I don't want to be here mindset. I'm here because I have to be. And then there's the second folks that get up and they're excited and they're going to work and they're happy about their job. They're happy that they've got a job. They're really excited. They get there and things are going across the line and, they're sorting through dirty diapers and the guy across is, nasty and mean and, swearing and you're whistling and just dancing around, just like listen to that music. We were super happy, poopy diaper, throw it behind you. No big deal. You know what that person's doing in their mind? You know what, every day they come to work to sort through poopy diapers, you know what they're doing? They're thinking about the problem they're solving, recycling. Yes, you work for a garbage company. Yes, you're probably not paid a lot of money or enough money. Yes, you're dealing with crap. But what is the end result of the problem you're solving? You're saving forests. You're recycling goods that if you did more, less trees would have to get chopped down, oxygen would be better. You would be doing a massive service for humanity. You'd be changing the world. Think about the power of that. That person's mindset is, I'm here sorting through recycling and poopy diapers and garbage because I'm solving one of the world's biggest problems. Imagine the impact and the feeling that person feels. There's a guy on the other side being like, I can't believe these assholes put poopy diapers in here. This is for recycling and people suck and I hate my job and I can't wait to quit this. Oh, the government's going to pay me unemployment. I'm out. Big difference, folks. The people that make it, the people that become millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, are the people that whatever they were doing, they understood a big problem they were solving. And I don't care how crappy or shitty your job is. I don't care how crappy or bad your life is. If you just change your mindset to focus on the positive you do, the problems you solve, everything will turn around for you. I promise you. And we haven't even got to the one thing you got to change. But this stuff all leads up to it. I want you to think about that. It's very important that your mindset is right for you to get where you're going to go. Sorry, Stephen, I went on a tangent there.
No, it's so important. It's absolutely so true. You have to have, that's why I threw that GPS slide up. You have to have a plan. I mean, you got to know the quickest way. You can bounce all over the place and you got to enjoy what you do too, to enjoy life. I mean, life's short. My dad always said, this is no dress rehearsal. You get one shot at it. You don't get a chance to do it again. So you got to make the best out of each and every single day. You got to wake up with that fire. Those of you that are MSTV members in our private money club, we have our 2-hour group coaching call tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Eastern with Jeff Wishersham, who wrote a book all about that, getting up with purpose and waking and grinding and rising. And it's, I did a 6-week 5 a.m. rise and grind challenge with a bunch of our money school members a few months back. And it was a hit, man. I mean, just listening to the stories of what people said. They woke up early in the morning and had a whole new, drive for the day and a whole new purpose and felt good about it. And we'd all check in on Facebook, and that sense of accomplishment first thing really sets off the rest of the day. I mean, see, there's two different things I see out with people that are entrepreneurs, people that work all the time, always, and are like, I don't know if it's Saturday, I don't know if it's Tuesday. I kind of take a different approach, but to me, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's a little bit different. Me, I love my weekends. So yes, I'll hold trainings on the weekends if we're doing them. Yes, I'll do it for my clients, for my students, if I'm going to events, but my weekends primarily are for family. I'll work from 5 a.m. till 10 at night if I have to, Monday through Friday. I don't give a shit. I do, do what I got to do and get things done. But I love having Saturday and Sunday. We just impromptu yesterday booked a trip up to Orlando to stay at a little resort for a couple nights, just randomly, go out on the boat. We spent so much time out there. So, everybody's a little bit different, but what makes you happy? What is your goal? And make that life happen for you. And it all starts with, understanding what we're talking about. So like you said, Chris, we haven't got into what you're going to right now, but you got to understand those pillars. What is your foundation? Understand how money works. And then the legacy, that's how you start creating now. You build throughout your entire life, and then you pass it down to future generations, and you protect the money along the way. You hedge, and that's what money school is that legacy. And that's what we want to get into next. That's how you're going to become the 5%. Chris, do you want to hit anything on this?
I mean, we kind of already did with the 5%. You are all the 5%. You're here for a reason. Okay. You didn't get up this morning and just magically get forced to go here. It's not like, some of the other things going out there that people are forcing you to do things. You're here on your own time. You're here to get something. So you are the 5%. Forget about those 120-year-olds and, the 95 that didn't make it. You're the 5% that did. So we just got to get on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we get into, how are we going to start making that first change? How do we take this turmoil of this economy in? Where's a good place we can put our money where it's protected, where it's guaranteed to grow for us, where it's uninterrupted and it's going to compound for the rest of our lives? How can we start creating $900,000 in debt and paying that off in a few years? How can we take what we have now, put it into a safe place, but also be able to use that money simultaneously to grow our wealth for the future and start creating this portion, that legacy, that third pillar? So I want to start getting into infinite banking concept, Chris, privatized banking.
Let's do it. So, I always get into this topic, and we're not doing the full presentation on the infinite banking concept today. but we will be. We have that planned numerous times, and we're going to go very deep into it on these wealth webinar series. So make sure if you like what you're doing, you tell some friends, subscribe to the YouTube, and take part in this. We also do an Ask Me Anything every Wednesday after the wealth webinar series to catch all those questions that we don't get answered here. So it's free. We grab a cocktail, we have some fun. If you want to join us for that, 4:30 every Wednesday, right after the wealth webinar.
Yeah, and we got 2 questions already for the Ask Me Anything at 4:30 Eastern. It comes up in 2.5 hours from now. Are there any stocks, Teddy asked, are there any stocks that you recommend keeping through the crash ahead? I think I remember you mentioning mining companies as one. So we'll get into depth during the Ask Me Anything and lay that out for you. Somebody was asking, what is the best way to help sellers when they're not motivated to sell? After talking and asking about the motivational questions, you don't see the pain. They ask, what is the advantage to go through the investor instead of a realtor? We answer those questions for you. We don't have the time during this wealth webinar right now, but you join us at 4:30, and those are the questions. You can pre-submit your questions. So make sure you join us for the encore at 4:30, and we'll dive into those and anything else that you guys want to bring to us before that.
Yeah, we will definitely knock those questions out. I've got great answers for them, but I want to get into what is this infinite banking concept? What is privatized banking, and why should I do this thing? I've Googled it, and I've seen, the infinite banking concept is a scam. How many of you right now, just be honest with yourself, how many of you have Googled the infinite banking concept and the first 5 things that come up in sponsored ads says infinite banking is a scam? Or how many of you have, and put I if you have been, or how many of you have seen the Dave Ramsey episode where he says infinite banking is a scam? Say I or yes, whatever you want. I bet you out of, the well over 100 people we have on here, a bunch of you have. But why is the infinite banking a scam? Folks, the infinite banking isn't a product. The infinite banking is a concept that's been around for hundreds of years. So what is it that makes it a scam? Do you guys want the truth before I actually get into telling you? If you know anything about marketing, you would understand exactly what's going on. Take Dave Ramsey and maybe a few of the other ones out, because I'm going to hit him in a second. And we've actually got a great video to hit that. But in marketing, it's the diversion tactic. The people that are posting in those sponsored ads, the infinite banking is a scam, are some of the same people that are selling infinite banking or selling, the process or whatever they're doing. Because if they get you to think that it's a scam, but then they scroll a couple pages down and then there's someone saying, let me explain why infinite banking isn't a scam. You're going to be like, well, one says it's a scam, one says it's not. Let me check this out. It's the same people. It's not us. We don't do that. I don't believe in that kind of marketing, but that's what it is. Then there's the Dave Ramseys. Let me describe Dave Ramsey from a Dave Ramsey fan. How many of you are Dave Ramsey fans? Say, just put DR. If you're a Dave Ramsey fan in the chat, put DR. I am. So I'm going to put DR. I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. I used to be a Dave Ramsey nut. I loved what this guy did. And I still do. He changes millions of people's lives. Here's my analogy of what Dave Ramsey does. He takes a bird that has a broken wing. He takes it in. He puts it in a nice cage. He feeds it. He nurtures it. He gets that wing back to the wings 100%. You know what I'm talking about. He helps people go from being drastically in debt to following a process to being out of debt. But then Dave Ramsey has gotten so big and his ego's gotten so big that when now you're that bird that you've just been nurtured back to health, you're ready to flap your wings. You're ready to go out there and really see the world and do things. And Dave's like, I can't let you out of the cage. It's buy term, invest the difference into mutual funds. It's, everything else sucks. But what I tell you, Dave won't let the bird go free. I love Dave, but I hate the fact that sometimes it's time to let the bird go free and let it flap its wings. Dave Ramsey's infinite banking is a scam little thing that he did. If you knew what we know, and you will if you watch our video, you will know that Dave Ramsey was so false. And many of the things he said in that video, the average person would never know, so he doesn't care. But he said Prudential is a mutually owned company. False. He talks about Northwestern Mutual as being a company that's used for infinite banking. False. They don't work for infinite banking at all. If he knew what we do, if he knew what privatized banking was and what it actually does and how it helps change people's lives, would he change his tune? Most of you would say yes, but the answer is no. because he's getting paid by the mutual fund companies. He's a partner and an owner in that insurance company that sells all that term insurance. He's the number one, or at least was, correct me if I'm wrong, the number one realtor in the country, and the dude doesn't sell any real estate. So when we come back to Dave's motives for why he says what he does, follow the dollar. That's it. Follow the buck. So we will put a video out that will do that, but let's get into what is infinite banking and what is let's start with privatized banking. So let me take you on a trip in time, right? Every one of you go to work and you make money. You go and you do a job, you run a business, you do something and it pays you. And what do you do when you make that money? What's the first thing you do when you get the paycheck? You deposit it in the bank. You have been taught to do this. You don't see a problem in this. You don't even think there's anything wrong with this. You're just like, yeah, of course, that's what I do, right? Anyone doing anything different with their money that they're making? Is anyone making money and not putting it into a bank account at a traditional bank or into their 401k or employer-sponsored plan? Is there anyone on here out of the over 100 people that are in that situation?
When I went through my late grandma's house a few years back, we found quite a bit of stacks of $100 bills in random places throughout that house. So it was definitely an old school thing when people would stash the money. But this day and age, let's see.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think everybody's doing that. So what we've been taught to do is take our money that we make and give up control of that money. Because when you put money in the bank, who's in control of it? Some of you are thinking, well, I am, it's my bank account. No, you gave up control to the bank. The bank's in control of your money. And what is the bank doing with your money? Is the bank taking your money? Let's just take this $100 bill. Are they putting it in a little box in the back? Are they taking all of your money and taking all this money and putting it in a little box in the back with your name on it? No. The bank is going out there and they're saying, okay, we're going to take a little from this person, a little from that person, a little from this person. And what we're going to do is we're going to move that money. We're going to lend it out right behind them in those little cubicles. Banks are in the business of moving money. Your neighbor comes in for that new car loan. They give them a car loan. That's the money you just deposited. And what are they doing? They're making an arbitrage, a spread on the money that they pay you, which let's just call it 1% for simple math. They pay you 1, they lend it out at 5. Okay. You're getting 1, they're getting 5. That means they made 400% more than you did. Simple math, folks. Okay. If they pay you nothing and they charge 5, what are they making? 500%. Okay, if they got a credit card division, which all banks do, and they're charging you 15%, they're making 1,500% more than you, 1,500 times actually. You see, if you just look at what the bank does, you got to say, well, that's what banks do. Good for them. I mean, I get nothing. They're paying me how much? Nothing. So you're losing money to inflation. But then you're like, well, I don't know if there's a solution. I don't know if I can change that. I mean, that's just all I can do. Hell, I could put the money into the 401k. Someone made a comment that they're putting money in the real estate, which is good. Okay, that's rare. Not everybody's doing that, but you're still putting the money in the bank first. So correct me if I'm wrong. You can't just take your money and then just not put it in the bank account and go buy, well, I guess you could go buy real estate. That involve you having to keep a bunch of paper dollars under your bed and, in a safe at your house. And if you're doing that, good. You're very different. But most people are putting it in the bank, then buying real estate, putting it in the bank, investing in Dogecoin or Bitcoin or, one of these stocks or something. They're investing in something. And then the others are putting it into the 401k where that money's going to sit for 5, 10, or 15 years. So I'm just trying to get you to think about what's going on here. This is what you do. You've been trained really well. Kudos to the people that have taught us and trained us to give up control of the money. But by giving up control, you're giving up everything. Because if you were in control of your money and you knew how to make your money move and work for you the same way the bank does, you'd be a lot wealthier. And it wouldn't involve you working any harder, any longer. It wouldn't involve you taking on any risk, and it wouldn't involve you giving up control. So how does that work? Well, simple. Let's go back to how the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds figured this out. I got a video on my YouTube channel called, it's basically the history of the IBC concept. So let's talk about them. We've done the research. The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, for any of you that don't know, are two of the wealthiest families in the world. We don't even know how much money they have, but they're the wealthiest. And back in their day, when they had all this money, they controlled banking, they owned banks, but they didn't trust banks. Banks weren't strong. They worried about keeping all their wealth in banks, which all of you should do the same thing. You should all worry about keeping all your money in banks too. 2008 should have taught you something about that. So they went around and they said, there's got to be a better place for us to store our capital. And what they did is they did the research and their teams came up with the conclusion that instead of banks, we're going to put our money in ginormous mutually owned insurance companies. Why? Well, number one, the insurance companies didn't operate on fiat money. They didn't operate on, fractional reserve. They basically, a dollar was a dollar. If they made a promise for a dollar, they had to have a dollar to back it up or an asset to back that dollar up. It was very different. It was safer. What else are insurance companies in the business of doing? Providing guarantees. You crash your car, you get a guarantee. That's car insurance, okay? But you die, in a life insurance policy, they pay a death benefit. That's guarantee. They give you a contractual guarantee on something that they're insuring. And we're talking primarily about life insurance companies because they're some of the biggest, just so you know. They really are. Look it up. So the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds said, okay, if we've got all this money and we want to put it into these giant mutually owned insurance companies, how do we do it? Do we just walk in and say, hey, insurance company, I'm here. Mr. Rockefeller in the house. I want you to deposit my money in your bank. The insurance company would say, well, Mr. Rockefeller, nice to make your acquaintance, but walk your ass back out the door you came in. We don't do that here. We're not a bank. Go down the street don't you own the bank down the street? And he's like, yeah, but I want to deposit my money in the insurance company because I want to get and take part in the returns of the general account of the insurance company. It's not really how it happened, but I'm just trying to walk you through the idea of this, okay? So what they did is they said, how do we get our money into the general account of the insurance company? How do we get a guaranteed return on our money? And here's what they arrived at: whole life insurance. It was back then, it was around, and it's still around today. It's survived every great recession and every depression. Can't say that for VULs, or you won't be able to say that for IULs, but we're not going to get into that today. Believe me, we got one coming for that. For all you IUL fans, you're going to hate me until you absolutely love me, Devin and Steven. When we prove to you mathematically, IULs are a piece of shit if you think they work the way that they're sold. Sorry. Hate me, get off right now, because I don't care. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to prove facts and change people's lives. So back to the whole life, that's how they did it. They said, we want to put our money into these specially engineered whole life policies, not the regular ones we buy at the insurance store. We're going to create a method, a system that is going to use a whole life policy in a different way so we can put money into the insurance companies, and the insurance company gave them a guaranteed interest rate. Not bad. Fast forward to today. So they created this. And then what they did is they found that they can put money in these insurance companies, take that money back out, use that money to buy more real estate, more oil wells, and everything that they invested in, while their money deposited at that insurance company continued to earn uninterrupted compound interest. Now think about that. In your bank that you have today, can you go in there, deposit your money today, take some or all of that money back out, and still earn interest on the money when you took it out? No, Chris, you crazy? What are you smoking over there? Right, because your bank can't do that. Your bank can't take your deposit, give you, some or all of that money back, and then still pay you interest on that money. That's stupid. But insurance companies can, and they do. And that's how we use them. It's called compound interest. Some of you may have heard about it, but most of you don't understand it. And that was summed up very eloquently by Albert Einstein said, compound interest, or specifically uninterrupted compound interest, is the eighth wonder of the world. It is the greatest, most powerful thing in the financial universe.
The compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, or something like that. And
he said, those that understand it, earn it. Those that don't, pay it. Most of us have been brought up to pay interest, to pay compound interest. Look around, car loans, mortgages, all that stuff, you're paying it. Very few of us have been taught how to earn it, because to earn compound interest, what is the thing most people realize they have to do? To earn compound interest, I got to take my money and I got to put it somewhere and just leave it sit, which means I can't have any fun, which means I can't do anything. I can't buy that real estate until you figure out how to earn uninterrupted compound interest through these specially designed and engineered whole lives, where now you have a method where you can put the money into this specially designed policy, which will teach you how to do this. Then you can take some or all, depending on what year of your policy you're in. So let's just say after year 4, you could put in money and take more than what you put in out, okay? You take it out, and now you're holding the money in your hand. So most people would think, I'm making interest on what's left after I took the money out. Wrong. When you took the money out, you took it in the form of a loan. Now that's a swear word for most. Like, man, I'm trying to get out of debt, not get in debt. I don't want any more of those loans, right? But what if I told you that this loan never has to be paid back to the insurance company? It's not the insurance company giving you free money. I'll assure you that. They're in the business to make money, not just give free money. But right there, that sounds like the insurance company's giving you free money. You put money in, they gave you the money back or some of the money back in the form of a loan. Like, how is it that the money never left your account? If you look, the money in your account never left. That money is still in there earning a guaranteed interest rate plus dividend. So what is this guaranteed interest rate? I'll give you the number. 2021 only. It changes next year. 4% guaranteed. Plus a dividend. They're mutuals. They're mutually owned companies. Dividends can be up to 2%. It's the highest that we've got. So if you did that one, it's 4 plus the 2. The 4% is guaranteed. So you're at 6%. So when you take the loan, where's that money coming from if it didn't come out of my account? It came from the general account of the insurance company. All that extra money they got sitting there from all the premiums that they take in, that's where they're loaning it to you from. But why wouldn't they want it back? Well, because the insurance company, in their mind and in their contract, the loan is just an advance of the death benefit. Someday when you graduate, a nice way of saying the day you die, they're going to pay you a death benefit. Well, they're going to pay your family a death benefit, or whoever your beneficiary is, maybe your mistress, who knows? But they're going to pay somebody a death benefit. That loan was an advance of that death benefit. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So if they just gave you an advance of your death benefit, the day you die, they're going to true up with the loan that you didn't pay back. They're going to take it from your death benefit. And what's in it for the insurance company? Because listen, in life, we talk about solving problems. It's always what's in it for someone else, right? Well, what's in it for the insurance company? Well, the loan they gave you, they charge you interest on. How much? 5% as of today. Okay. It's been 5% for a long time, actually. 5%. So if you got that policy that pays you 6 and they charge you 5, what are you making? 1%. So how many of you have a bank that you can deposit money, take the money back out as a loan, and then pay you 1% on all of the money, even though you took it out? None of you. But now you just learn how to do it. And this is what the Rockefellers figured out. They figured out how they can get uninterrupted compound interest, have control and access to money that they put in there, and then go out and use that money to make more money. So let's go one step further. If you don't find a way to make, oh yeah. So one thing that we always do, and let me just use this. This was just flashed in front of me. It says, can you read that, Stephen?
If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Absolutely.
Very good statement. So you got to find a way to make money while you sleep, or you're just going to trade hours for dollars and work for your money. The wealthy figured out how to make their money work for them. And who are the wealthy? The Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Walt Disneys, the Ray Krocs, the Doris Christophers, the Warren Buffetts, the Joe Bidens, the McCains before he passed, and I could go on and on. Those are who use this. So if all those people are using this, and the banks are the number one purchasers of only whole life insurance called BOLI, B-O-L-I, then we have to make an assumption. We have to draw a line in the sand. Either all those wealthy families and wealthy people and the banks are stupid, or maybe they know something we don't know. Well, you think they know something we don't know? If you don't believe what I just said, look it up, folks. Just Google this stuff. Google's one step away to your freedom to debunking everything I'm saying, or what they call fact checking. You should be fact checking everything I'm saying, because I could just be sitting here telling you whatever I want, and you got to make the determination. Am I telling you the truth, or am I telling you a lie? Are these people that are saying it's a scam real, or are they just marketing trying to get you to actually look at their next post? So now one step further here, okay? So now that we've got a method and a way to change just one thing, because that's all we did there, folks. We took the money we make, and instead of depositing the money we would save, don't do this with money that you would pay your normal expenses with. I want to be clear. This is just money that you're saving. Maybe some of the money you're putting into the investment accounts, the 401ks, just leaving for rainy day money. That's the money I'm talking about. We take and we change one thing. And that one thing is where that money goes first. It goes into a bank, but it's your bank. It's your private bank. And that private bank is nothing more than a specially designed and engineered whole life policy that allows you to do what I just said. So now once we did that, let's go to the second part. How do we make our money work and move after that? Because remember, we don't want to just put our money in this whole life and just leave it there. Boring. And that's not what we do. We want to put the money in. Then we want somewhere for that money to go. So let's use a 30-day window. Let's say I deposit 10 grand into my private bank. And then I immediately take 5,000 of that 10 grand out. I just use 50% for simple math. Okay. Numbers are irrelevant. Just using 50%. Could you use 90%? Could you use 70? I'm going to use 50 just because it's easy. So I put 10 in, and immediately in the first 30 days, I take 5 out. So let me grab a couple more hundreds here. I got 5,000 bucks in my hand. Now I can go out and I can blow this, or I can be smart and treat my money with respect and make it go work harder. So where's the first place I would go? Well, where do we give the most amount of money away to? Let's start, instead of thinking, because if you had 5 grand, you might be like, well, I'm going to invest in Bitcoin. Oh, I'm going to put a deposit down on a house. Oh, I'm going to buy GMC, or I'm going to buy AMC or GameStop, right? No. Hold on. Where's the easiest way to make wealth and build wealth? Easiest way, Dave Ramsey says the same thing, is to start by looking at where your money goes. Where's your money going every month? Well, how many of you have credit cards? If you have a credit card, put CC in the feedback, or in the chat here. Put CC. Every one of you have a credit card, so I know it's all of you. So you've got a credit card. Chances are the credit cards, you're paying roughly, I don't know, 10 to 30, almost 30% on that credit card. So let's just use 20%. So you got a Visa. I'm just going to pick on Visa. You got a Visa that's got a balance of 5 grand. And you're paying 20% every single year in interest on that. And you make $100 payments every month to Visa. So that's just normal. We had 10 grand in our savings account because that was our steady Eddie, our emergency fund. God, if something happens, I got that money. All we did is to change where that money sat. It's not in the bank anymore because they don't pay us anything. It's in my bank, the private bank, earning a guaranteed 4%. That was the first change. That was the one change. But now we took the 5 grand out that was sitting in that account because we want this money to go out and work harder. So we take the 5 grand and we pay off Visa. Okay. Visually, just imagine that. I took 5 grand from my private bank and I just paid Visa off. Most of you would be like, sweet, now I don't owe Visa any money and I'm saving $100. You're really not, because you're not treating your money the same way you would treat the bank's money. There wasn't a single month that you had that Visa debt that you didn't pay them their minimum payment, for, in this case, $100. There wasn't a single month you never paid that you didn't pay them because you knew there was consequences. But now you took money from your bank, you took a loan from your bank, and you paid off Visa. Why should that change? Why should that responsibility, that habit that you've built of paying Visa, why should that change? It shouldn't. So the 100 that I used to give the Visa, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name on the check. I'm going to put the Bank of Chris, and I'm going to, instead of pay Visa, I'm going to set up a bill pay to pay my bank back. So I'm going to put $100 a month back into my bank, systematically through a bill pay. What just happened? Let's go through the math real quick. Remember that policy. Let's use the one that pays 6%, okay, with dividend. You're making 6. What's it cost you to use the money in a loan? I took 5 grand out. What's that interest rate? 5. What's the spread between 6 and 5? Let's call it 1, okay, for gross returns. You're making 1%. Then I took that 5 grand and I paid off Visa, and I took the $100 a month I used to give to Visa and I paid it back to my policy to repay the loan to my bank. First off, the cool thing is every month you have $100 more. Before, you just lost $100. Now you have $100 more. Nothing changed. You didn't work harder for this. You didn't take on any risk. But the second thing is you made 1% on the arbitrage on your money gross. Then you also took back, or we call it recycled and recaptured, 20% that you were giving away. That $100 a month, that was equivalent to 20%. So you literally just made yourself a gross of 21%. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you work really hard or try really hard to make 21% in the stock market? Most all of you, right? How many of you work really hard or try really hard to make 21% in real estate? It's a lot of work. You just found a way to make 21% or somewhere close to that by not doing anything hard, by doing the exact same thing you're doing now, but by changing one thing, and that was where your money went first. Fast forward 5 years, it gets really fun because the first year is the worst year. You don't really, it's a marathon. You don't really have a lot of money built up in that banking policy yet because you just started the damn thing. Let's go 5 years down the line. 5 years down the line, you're still putting $10,000 in. So the 5th year gets here. I take the $10,000, I deposit that money in my banking policy, my private bank. So I put another 10 grand in. How many of you right now for how about for mapping out the millionaire mystery? I'm going to give a book away right now. Okay. I want the right answer. I put 10 grand in the 5th year, and I want to now 30 days, in the first 30 days, I want to take money out of my policy. Now let's just focus on the 10 grand. I put 10 in. How many of you can guess how much money I could take out 5 years later of that 10 grand? Can you guys guess? For a book, I put 10 in, just guess how much money could I take out in the 5th year? So 10 in, how much could I take out? Start going now. Stephen, watch the numbers and you know the number, right?
Sorry, I'm responding to a bunch of comments and stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of them coming through, but I just want, all right, here we go. 10,000. So all of it, 10,000, all of it, 10,000. Who is this? Mason, can you define, is that $100, 100%? What do you mean? Ingram said 10 grand. Okay. So let's see, who's this? This is Jeremy, said 65 grand. I'm not talking cumulative. So Jeremy, let's change this. Remember, I don't want you counting the 50 grand you put in, just the 5th year, you put 10 in. Let's assume every other year that you put money in, you took it all out already. So just the 5th year, you've been putting money in for 5 years. So I like that you guys figured out that you put 50 grand in over 5 years, because really if it's uninterrupted compound interest, you've been earning interest and dividends on 50 grand the whole time. But I want you to assume that each year you took all the money out that you could. So you put 10 in the first year, you took as much as you could out. Okay, the first year, you put 10 in the second year, you took it all out. So it's a zero-sum game, but the 5th year, you put 10 grand in. Oh my gosh. Do we have a winner? I think we do. I just want to make sure. Some people are getting really close. So we got some people saying 10-2. We got Demetrius saying 10-4. We got Will saying 11-5, super close. And then, and this is going to change too, by policy design, but somebody, I think it was Eve, got really, probably the closest I've seen yet. Eve said 13 grand. Eve, you just got yourself a book. And if you already have Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, you can just give it to somebody and do something that's powerful and give, which is the universal law. Like if you give, you get. So how is that even possible? That I put 10 grand in that year. I had no money in the account before I deposited the 10, but it's 5 years after I started. How could I put 10 in and immediately in the first 30 days, take out 13,000? If you did the math, that's a 30% cash on cash return, right? If I had 10 and I invested it this year and I could take 13 out, that's a 30% cash on cash, which means that year only, cash on cash return. Is that even real? Is that even possible? Most of you are thinking no. Most of you are thinking, Chris, that's not even real. Oh God, look at how specific Will just got. 13, 4, 88, 50. You know what Will did? Pulled out his policy illustration. He looked at the 5th year and he said, yep, $13,488.50. Will, is that what you did? Because I'll give you a book if that's what you did. I bet you any money, because there's no other answer for that. How is it possible that you can put 10 grand in when there's no other money in there to take, so we're not doing cumulative, and take 13,488 out? It's easy, folks. It's compounding. It's uninterrupted compound interest. The thing most people didn't do that we're saying all of it or 10,000 or a little more is they were doing simple interest calculations. They weren't calculating that they've been earning interest and dividends at a rate of 6% on all the money, even though all the money was taken out every year. Okay, so that's the difference. Imagine that's 5 years. Imagine what it would be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. What would the numbers look like? Well, it's hundreds of percent, clearly. The power of compound interest, as Albert Einstein talks about it, is bigger than most people can even do. Will used the financial calculator, and all he did is he figured out uninterrupted compound interest. He said, all right, if I had 50 grand in there for 5 years, he just did the calculation. Bingo. That number might be off a little bit, because there's some cost of insurance that goes against that, but it's not far off. I could show you my policy, which is where I knew the number from. Okay. So Eve got a book, and we're going to give Will a book too. So Eve and Will, could you please DM us and put a question in, because it's private, and give us your address. We'll mail you a book today. What I just described to you is privatized banking. The infinite banking concept, that thing that, you Google and it comes up, scam, 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 scam. The infinite banking concept is just the process. So how the hell can a process be a scam if it's the same damn process a bank uses day in and day out? If it's the same damn process the wealthiest families in history have used day in, month in, year in and out. Like, it's the same darn thing. So how can that be a scam? It's a scam because somebody is conforming to what somebody else said, or like I said, it's really not a scam. It's just they're baiting and switching you. That's what they're doing. If you guys think that everything you read on the internet is all good and that, no, you got to dig a little deeper. And the best way to dig is, if you want to know if something's a scam, what would be the first thing you all would do to figure out if something's a scam? Well, I don't need you to answer that. I'm going to tell you what I would do. I would find people that have been doing it. I would find people that had been using it. I would go to them and I would say, all right, listen, this infinite banking thing, man, this has got to be a scam. I'm reading all this stuff about it and it all says it's not real, doesn't work that way. People are hyping it up and doing this. You've been doing this. Tell me, does it really work the way they say? 5 years, I put 10 grand in each year and I take money out every year. And then the 5th year, I put 10 in. Can I really take out like 13,000 bucks? That's like a 30% cash on cash return. That seems too good to be true. And I guarantee you, if there's somebody you talk to that's been doing it for, any amount of time, they're going to be like, oh, absolutely. I'm surprised it's only that much. Then you got to really sit back and you got to really say, shit, now what? Do you know that story I just told you? That's my story. 2014, I heard about infinite banking. I was a financial advisor at that point of about 11 years, I think it was, 11 or 12 years, high level. I knew all about whole life. It was a terrible place you put your money. Why put your money in whole life when I can put you in mutual funds? I can make you all this money in these annuities, these we didn't have ETFs then, but all these investment products, I make you all your money there. I subscribe to the buy term, invest the difference. Listen, I love term insurance. All of you should have it. I'm not saying go out and buy whole life. I'm saying create a banking system, don't buy a product to do what I'm talking about. That would fail you every time. Product never solves anything. This product, this whole life thing, forget about it. It's just a machine. It's just the only machine on earth that can do what it does. That's all it is. It's like the tool in your garage. Most men listening to this, you probably have a bunch of tools in your garage. Each one of those tools does something different. You don't go in the garage and grab the rake to dig a hole, do you? No, you grab the damn shovel, the good one, right? Not the flat nose shovel. We got a tool for everything. The whole life is just your damn tool. Forget about the whole life. If there was another vehicle on earth, trust me, we'd be using that, not whole life, because then we wouldn't have to deal with all the haters and all the people out there, the naysayers and the people that just don't know what they don't know. And Will Rogers said it best. Write this down. Will Rogers said, the biggest problem in America is not what people don't know. The biggest problem in America is what people think they know that just ain't so. Stop thinking you know what you don't know. Stop listening to people that think they know that just ain't so. Get around the right group of people that are living the life that you want to live, not the life you're living now, the life you want to live, and learn what they do. And ask the hard questions. Hey, I heard about this thing. It sounds pretty cool. I can put money in, I can take it out, I can earn uninterrupted compound interest. Hey, if I die, my family gets some money, and all of this stuff is tax-free, and it sounds too good to be true, but you're using this, aren't you? Yep, sir. Yes, I am. Well, tell me, does it really work this way? I mean, come on, there's got to be something that they're saying it doesn't work. No, sir, that's exactly how it works, actually. I've been doing it for a while. All right, so you mean to tell me you can put money in and you can take that money out in 30 days or less? Well, yeah, my plan does that. And you're telling me you earn interest on all the money and dividends on the money, even when you take the money out? Well, yes, sir, you take a loan. Insurance company's just giving you some of your death benefit while you're living. They don't care. You don't even need to pay that damn loan back, but you should treat your money the same as you treat the bank's money, because otherwise you're a terrible banker and your bank eventually won't operate like it should. You see, just ask the questions to the people that are doing it. Stop believing and making assumptions of naysayers, of people that don't know your life, that don't know what they're talking about. And then I'm not going to open the Pandora's box yet, but we've got something really special. Been doing this a long time. I know an awful lot about IULs, not everything, but I know an awful lot. But we got a really secret weapon, and I don't know if he's still on here, but Mr. Devin Burr, okay, we got a case study with Devin Burr. Mr. Devin Burr was the recipient of one of those fancy dancy, shiny, fast, sexy IUL plans that was sold to him as a banking vehicle. He was sold that to use it for IBC. He has it. It's through Midland. Look the company up. They're one of the biggest providers. There's National, I think it's National Life. I'm sorry, I might get the name wrong. There's Midland. There's a couple big players out there in the IUL space. And he had one. So I have a VUL, but I can't speak how my crappy VUL is compared to an IUL. So I never had the facts. And Devin one day got a hair up his ass or something. He calls me up and he says, listen, I called Midland. I got an in-force illustration coming. I want to really look at this thing. I started asking him questions about language in the contract and learning about it. And he's doing this for the best interest. Like, he's got money in it, lots of it. And he doesn't want to lose this money. So he wants to learn how to use this thing. Pretty soon, I think in a couple of weeks on the Wealth Webinar Series, we're going to do an entire breakdown It's not going to be hating on IULs. It's not going to be hating on whole life. It's just going to be strictly math. Here's a real policy. Here's the real contract. Here's the real illustration. This is really what was said. This is really how it was sold to me. And this is really what it does. You're going to see it. And then all we're going to do, we're going to just show you the facts. And we're going to do it in a couple different scenarios because IULs are a moving target. Well, you can make 7%. Oh, you can make 9%. His cap, his participation level is 100% and his cap is 9.5. So we're going to show you the best. We're going to show you the worst, which is his guaranteed floor, which I think is 1.5. And then we're going to show you a 7%. We're going to do 3 different scenarios because, hey, we got to get it right on one of them. We're going to look at 3 scenarios. Worst, guaranteed. Best, middle. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to pull out one of these stupid, hated whole life policies that we're talking about, these specially designed and engineered private bank policies that we're talking about. And all we're going to do is we're going to show the exact same dollars for the exact same person using the exact same scenarios. We're going to show you the contract, and we're going to show you the guaranteed, which is just the 4%, because there's always going to be someone saying, well, if you're using the hypothetical or if you're using the guaranteed in the IUL, you should use the guaranteed in the whole life. Precisely, exactly we should, right? So we're going to do that, and then we're going to show you the non-guaranteed, which is just the 4% plus the dividend, which the insurance companies have paid every year for all the years they're around. And we're going to show you the math there. I've already seen it. You are not ready for this. I'll tell you this right now. You can't handle the truth. Who said that, Stephen?
What's the name? Just tell me.
That I don't know. Who
From
said
the movie?
You
got it.
Tom Cruise. You can't handle the truth. You can't, but we're going to bring it to you anyway. So folks, that's the infinite banking concept. The concept is nothing more than the process of moving money. Remember the Visa story. I changed where the money went first. I took the money out. I paid off Visa. I took the money I was paying Visa. I recaptured and recycled it back.
Sorry, it was Jack Nicholson, just to clarify that. I saw that. I didn't think it was Tom
Nicholson,
Cruise.
not Tom Cruise. Sorry. Studio guest had it wrong, but that's okay. We can't always get it right. Jack Nicholson. There you go. What movie was that from? Was that, it was a war movie. Oh God. Jack Nicholson. I don't know. Somebody will give me the movie. Yeah. A Few Good Men. Great movie. But anyway, I'm rambling, but I just wanted to give you just a sprinkle. Okay. Just the pimple on the elephant's ass of what this infinite banking thing is. The rest now should be you doing some research. So here's what you can do. You can go out there on the internet and you can research it till you're blue in the face. You can go to my YouTube channel at the Chris Naugle. Stephen, if you could put that in the thing, go on there. I got tons of videos, lots of case studies. Forget about me talking. I'm just a talking head sometimes, but watch the case studies of the people who are using this. Remember I said, find somebody who's doing it and ask them hard questions. That's what case studies are. Watch the case studies. I mean, 3,400 people can't be all lying to you. Somebody's got to be out there saying, hey, that Chris guy, like I got one of those things. It doesn't work this way. Good luck. You won't find one of those. Look for it. We don't have one person upset with us. Not one, because it works every time. Not only that, I want you to do one additional thing. I want you to join us next week and the week after for the Wealth Webinar Series, because we're going to keep talking about this, but we're not going to just talk about it. We're going to show you how it works, just like that book that you're all going to get today. This one here, okay? The brand new mini book, Drifting Away from Traditional Car Buying, how to keep both your car and your finances in the fast lane. What does everybody think that book's about? You think it's about cars? Nope. What do you think it's about? Driving fast in the fast lane? Nope. You can do that. What's it about? It's about what we just talked about. It's about how you can get all the money back for all the cars you're ever going to buy, drive, and own. How you can buy cars like the wealthy do, and you don't have to change anything. That's it. That's what it's about. So you're getting that for free. I love it. Dale just said recycle and recapture. So the other thing I really, really want to talk about before we depart here, and Stephen's been really trying to keep up with your questions. I hope he's doing a good job. But remember, if he's not got your question, join us today for the happy hour, and we'll certainly answer that. But I want to talk about something really special.
And real fast, Chris, one thing on that real quick. I've had a few people that have asked me specific questions to their situation. So I'm just going to put my calendar and my email in there so I can get a hold of you guys and we can talk about what we were chatting about. But go ahead.
Perfect. So folks, listen, like we're here to solve problems and we're here to help you. We're not here to sell you anything. I promise you that. I'm going to tell you about something in a second, which you might view as me trying to sell you something, but I'm just trying to really show you something you need and something that will really change it. But set a call up with Stephen. If anything we said struck a nerve, if anything we said today kind of just made sense, set up a call with Stephen and just talk to him. Just ask those hard questions. He's not going to sell you anything. I promise you. If he sells you anything or tries to sell you anything, if he's like, all right, are you ready to go? So what do you think? You ready to start this? If he does any of that, send me a text, okay? Or shoot me an email to Chris@themoneymultiplier and tell me, Stephen tried selling me something and here's what he said. And I'll mail you something for free. And I'll make Stephen pay for it. But he's not going to because nobody here sells anything. We'll just help you solve your problem, but we won't sell it. You'll ask us to help you with that. So let's come over here to this screen. This is the first time ever that we're doing this. It's something so special, so unique, so different that I don't think I've ever seen anyone do something like this. What I did is I travel to masterminds all over the country, some of the most expensive ones and some of them are free, but I've gone to lots of them. And I spend every year about 50 grand on masterminds personally. And I took the best of every one of them. And you know what the best was? The best masterminds were the ones where I went and I made memories. The ones where I went and I experienced something that normally or never in my life would I ever be able to experience. And you know what that is? Let me tell you what that is not. I'm not talking about the masterminds where you sit in a ballroom or you sit in an office and you just listen to someone talk all day. Those are the ones where you learn, but you don't make memories. You don't have an experience. You don't go home and be like, oh my God, this was the most memorable thing I've ever done. No, you're like, well, I learned some cool things. I shook some hands with some good guys and gals. This is different. You're not going to come to this event, August 27th to the 29th, because you're going to sit in a room to learn. You're going to come to this event because this is the weekend you need. This is the weekend where you're going to make memories and experiences that you're going to talk about to your kids, your kids' kids, your kids' kids' kids, if you make it that far. What we have planned is amazing. And if you go to this website, and we'll put it in the link, it's all right here. Okay. One thing we're not going to do is we're not going to teach you anything. What you're going to do is you're going to, through a template and through a very quick explanation, we figured this out. You're going to tell us what your biggest problem is, what your biggest challenge is right now. Everybody, there's only 25 people coming because it's at my house. We're doing it at my house, and you'll see that in a second. I'm not having any more than 25 people. I'm sorry. 25, that's it. We have 16 seats left as of today. So they're going to come to my house and we're going to listen to what they need. And then what we're going to do is the mentors. Who are the mentors? Some big, big names. Okay. The mentors are people like Brent Kessler, Robert Sislo for marketing, Randy Garn. Okay. The coach of coaches. You can read about him. Almost a billionaire. Can't call him a billionaire. Brandon Steiner, who bought the Yankee Stadium, Chris Ruud, and a mystery celebrity guest. One of the biggest experiences that we're going to do comes from an event that I went to that I had one of the biggest experiences. I talk about it all the time. You want to come to an event where you actually get to talk to, shake hands, rub shoulders, and hear from an actual celebrity. What is a celebrity? A movie star, right? Somebody who's been in a movie. But let's not just do somebody like a Tom Cruise who's been in a movie. Let's talk about somebody that the movie was written about that was in the movie as well. Wouldn't that be cool? Well, that's what we're doing. And we're not doing it in an office. We rented out a theater, a whole theater. So you're going to basically come to a theater with us, and you're going to meet the mystery celebrity speaker, who I'm not going to tell you who it is, the celebrity who's the movie was written about, who was in the movie. You're going to hear his story. You're going to hear it told from him, and then we're going to watch the movie. And that's just one of the things. We're going to spend time on one of the most beautiful lakes you probably, will ever see. Maybe not. I mean, maybe you've seen them, but the lake by my house. We're going to spend some time on the patio. We're going to spend some time in my lounge. These are just some of the photos, just kind of showing you the place. This is the lake, Limestone Lake. We're going to do all sorts of activities from canoe races, team building activities, do all that. And then the agenda is all on here. So folks, listen, I'm kind of going long in this, but if this sounds like a weekend you need, there's 16 seats. Sign up, click the link. Stop wasting time. If you don't have all the money today, great. We'll do a payment plan for you, but it's going to sell out. And you're going to begin a journey before the event happens. We've got something planned. I'm just going to tell you, it's out of the movie Christmas Story. Okay. I think Christmas Story, that's what it's called, but it's super fun. And it's going to begin the day you register. We're going to begin your journey, because why wait until August 27th to actually get memories forming? Why not start before that? The excitement is in the journey, not the destination. The destination is just the result. So let's begin the journey. Let's start your experience right now, and let's get you signed up for this one of a kind of event called the Money Multiplier Experience. And we'll see 25 of you there. So we put the link up. I'll put it up again. And, for any of you that want more information, by all means, okay, go to my YouTube and start watching some videos and learning. With that being said, Stephen, that's pretty much all I got for the day, man.
Love it, man. Love it. That was a great start. We're doing this. We got different topics over the next, weeks coming up. We have our Ask Me Anything here in a couple hours. We do a Money Club Monday every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern. We do the What the F Happened in the Markets and the News every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. So join us. Let's have some fun. Let's create some success. Let's create that legacy, baby.
Awesome. All right, folks. Thank you all for joining us for this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Chris Naugle. Smash that bell, and we'll see you next week or at the Ask Me Anything in a few short hours. Have a good day, folks.